I think we're recording now. Hey everybody, welcome back. Or well, I guess you should be welcoming me back. It's been probably 4 or 5 months since I've posted a video. My bad. Hopefully I'm going to get back on schedule and be posting at least once a week. That's what I'm shooting for. I'm here in my car, so let's just jump right into some of the stuff that's changed drastically. I'm kind of holding this up here because I've actually decided to go to kind of a simpler recording method and go with more information and content, I guess, than being worried so much about how pretty the videos are and that stuff. So I got this little GoPro Hero Session 5. As you can see right here, it really is a pretty remarkable device considering it records in 4K at 60 frames per second, and it's that tiny. And I just thought it'd be easier to do a lot of the things that I do for videos. So as you can see, I'm here in my car, but my car is not my car as you know it. I got rid of my Challenger. Yep, there it is. I said it. I won't go into too much detail about why I did that. Suffice to say that I just, as much as I loved my Scat Pack, I've been working kind of for the last few years to try and get my credit together. And as anyone who's been following along, moved from the Mustang GT to the Camaro SS, and then finally, hey, why don't I see if I can get my super dream car, a Scat Pack Challenger 392, which I did. I didn't really think about the impact that it might have on my ability to continue to try and improve my credit. So what resulted from that was that now I had a car payment and an insurance payment that, while I could pay that, I couldn't really do nearly as much as I wanted to pay down the debt that I had built up while I was attempting to establish credit. I had credit lines I used, I had credit cards that I used. I didn't get like out of hand with them, but once I'd kind of established myself to the point where I could buy a brand new, Dodge Challenger, I was sort of then suddenly in a situation where I had a fair amount of money on my credit lines that I had run up. I had a fair amount of money on my credit cards that I had run up, and I couldn't really pay my car payment, pay all my bills, and pay that debt down like I wanted to do. So the dream car is going to have to wait for another time. And what I have gone out and purchased is something that would get me a much cheaper car payment and a much cheaper insurance payment, and ideally at the same time also be able to get sort of another side project vehicle that I could it could be more of my tinkering car, maybe my muscle car or speed car, if it's a car. More on that. But yeah, so I got a 2015 Mini Cooper S Countryman because I'm not somebody, and this isn't against anybody that does, but I can't drive, even when I'm looking for kind of a more practical and less expensive car. I can't drive a car that everywhere I look I see another one. I can't drive a Toyota Corolla. I can't drive a Toyota Camry. I can't drive a Honda Accord. And there's nothing wrong with those cars, and there's certainly a reason why those cars are all over the place. But I like kind of quirky different things. So what this Mini Cooper Countryman kind of offered me was, while it's not greatest on performance, it's an S model, it's got a turbo in it, it scoots around all right. It certainly has, I do understand now what people mean by the go-kart style handling. of a Mini Cooper. But what it has is a fair amount of utility. It's fun to drive. It's got some, interior features and things like that I really want out of a car, or was happy that this car had. I bought it used. It had a little under 30,000 miles on it, and it drives and runs great. It's really good on gas, and again, the beautiful thing is it is now, what's the date today? Oh, I've got the little, I don't want that, do I? I've got the little GoPro app running here, and I don't really want it showing because I think that runs down the battery. So yeah, it's October 5th, and at this point, I've had the car since about mid-May, and right now the car has 32,800 miles on it. So again, that's another consideration when I buy cars, is because I can drive my work vehicle to and from work. A lot of times the car just basically sits there all week, and then I drive it on weekends. But then I also have the long road trips because, again, as I've talked about before, my daughter goes to boarding school a fair ways away. So when I go to pick her up or visit her or take her back to school or what have you, I get some road trips in there too. So the Mini, and please forgive me if everything seems out of frame or not centered. Again, this is the first time recording with this camera. I really like it, but it doesn't have a viewfinder of any kind, so I'm just kind of generally pointing and hoping I'm hitting what I mean to. So it's a Mini. It's got a black interior. It's got a white exterior with black accents. It's got cruise control. It's got voice functionality for the phone, for hands-free. It does have automated climate control. It's got heated seats. A lot of the stuff wasn't really stuff I was necessarily looking for in my next car. But, again, when you're buying a used car, you kind of find something you like, and what comes with it, and what doesn't. All this sort of dark themed Union Jack British flag stuff was all stuff that I added just for some kind of accenting to, I'm not going to be doing much with this car, but to make it kind of my own, I added some things here and there that you'll see. If you look around to the back, yes, there are Union Jack throw pillows in the back of my car. They're really what they're supposed to be, is they actually have little elastic head straps on the back of them, and they can wrap around the headrest and be like a pillow on the headrest. To me, with that on the headrest, that would not be particularly comfortable, so I just kind of threw them in there just because they, Union Jacks, and it follows the little theme. It does have a panoramic sunroof. Again, I'm not a huge sunroof person, but that was there. So it's an automatic. It does have a manual shift mode. It's got shifters on the steering wheel, and you can also, if you want to, move it over and kind of hand shift using the shifter, and that just sends it back to automatic. Obviously park, reverse, drive, neutral, whatever. It's got a sport mode that you do notice that it does kind of keep the RPMs a little bit higher. It tightens up the steering just a little bit, and the suspension. Weird getting used to having your speedometer over here and your tach over here, but I also have it set so this is a digital speedometer. I had that on my Dodge too, so that's kind of the way I'm used to having things. So it does have the capability to control your like a iPod or in my case, an iPhone with iTunes on it device. Unfortunately, I believe the car did come with something, but I guess the owner didn't include it, so I had to buy this guy. It was $100, but it gives me the ability to control my songs and go through playlists and do random and all that fun stuff through the stereo, and that was at a cost of $100. It was worth it to me because the other way to hook it up is merely to just hook in through the headphone out and then into an auxiliary in, where you would have to control everything, skipping tracks, all that stuff, like from the iPhone itself. And it seemed like worth $100 to me to be able to control it through the stereo and using the controls on the steering wheel by buying this thing. So, and it's actually kind of quirky. For some reason it doesn't always work. Sometimes I have to turn off the car and turn it back on like a second time to get it working, but for the most part it works okay. Just push button start. The key thing is kind of weird. Your remote is also your key, so you kind of like smush this guy into here, put your foot on the brake, and then hit the start button and it starts up. Kind of weird, but whatever. So you turn it off the same way and pull the key out. So I'll show you the outside of the car. I don't know if you saw a flash of that. One of the things I have added is the car already had puddle lights, and so I could actually add, they make them in the same shape, except they have the little mini logo on them. So I added them to all 4 doors, so it looks pretty cool at night. Power windows, power locks, all that fun stuff. It does have this kooky interior lighting that you can actually pick the color of. I went with blue because the blue is just kind of subdued, but you can pick any color in the rainbow. Looking at it from the outside, it's not particularly clean, as you'll see. It's an all-4. I kind of forget that sometimes, but which obviously means that it's all-wheel drive. You know, again, it's October, only had it since May, so I don't know how well that works in things like snow and ice kind of conditions, but I guess I'll probably find out soon enough. One thing that I'm going to show you right off the bat, I mean, these cars, as many people probably know, have been kind of a collaboration between BMW and some English manufacturers of parts. Some assembly, I think, is done in England. I'm not sure. I don't admittedly know nearly as much about this car as I kind of got to know about the 5th generation Camaro that I had, and obviously the Challenger. But there are some things that they are a little bit of a letdown. And the first thing is that really bothers me is this. As you can see, there's like little black gaskets all around that, you know, steal off the fact that there's a door handle here. But basically everywhere you see one of those on the outside of the car, when it rains, after it rains, that's what you get, this weird runoff that runs off down. I mean, it's easy to get off, but it's kind of, it doesn't seem like a lot of forethought went into that, to whatever you know, materials that they used for those gaskets, or rubber grommets, or whatever you would call them, because that's a bit of an eyesore. Makes me wish kind of I bought a darker car. Of course, I got a personalized tag, which I do with every car now. I don't know, it's a thing. All these years, I must admit, I never thought that having a personalized plate would be as inexpensive as I found that it is. So now there just doesn't seem like any reason not to. These actually have, these I added. They were like 10 bucks for the pair. Obviously underneath there is just a regular black windshield washer sprayer thingy, and those go over them. It's kind of part of my kind of blacked out Union Jacks theme. The covers on the side mirrors, they're actually just kind of neoprene, I guess, or something like that, plastic shells that just kind of stick over. So if you look closely, there's actually kind of a little seam there. They were cheaper than, you can buy ones where you actually pull the stock shell. This is just black underneath here. You pull off the black shell, and then you have one that actually goes in place of the factory shell. But those were like 150 bucks for a pair of them. I think these were like $60 for both of them. If I ever decide that I want to go with the factory one, obviously I can take off the factory black underneath this, taking them, you know, and theoretically both off, and then just put in a new, real, original replacement that has this same darker Union Jack on it. But I'm not really worried about it. I might do something like that when I resell it, but someone would have to be taking a pretty hard look at these things to go, oh, well, this is obviously just like a goofy cover thing, unless they know a lot about the cars. Another thing here is this seems to fade, this section of black. It's a vent, I guess, for the engine, and it does actually, it gets warm after not a lot of driving, so I'm guessing it's the heat that fades it. Not a big deal, but I don't need this car to look like awesome and cherry and you know, treat it like I would more of a kind of a hot rod or a kind of a, you know, hobby car. So that's not a big deal to me. I got little carbon fiber Union Jacks on here just to keep the theme going. If you can see in there, that rear view mirror, I put one of the covers on inside of there. So walking around to the back of the car, it does have a rear wiper, dual exhaust. This opens pretty cool. You kind of push this little badge in, and it does have a lot of utility. Now this doesn't look like a lot of trunk space, but I kind of like it that way, because if I'm just kind of going and doing some grocery shopping and having stuff that I carry around back here, it stays relatively still. And there is actually kind of a little more space underneath here that I keep some stuff. But when you fold down these rear seats, this guy comes out really easily, and I gotta tell you, there is a lot of space in this car to look as small as it does kind of from the outside. So the kind of utility part of it, I feel like I really got pretty much what I was looking for. Because I'm not crazy about SUVs, but I did kind of want something that I could carry stuff around in if I needed to. Obviously, the Challenger being a big car, it had a big old American trunk in it, so that was never in question. But when I switched to this thing, I kind of wondered. But you know, when I really looked at the car for the first time, I realized that, you know. And I do actually look like, I think this is the third generation. Again, it's a 2015. I believe it's a third generation, the newest generation, and I do kind of like the look of the car. I mean, I guess I'll just touch on this very briefly. It is my assumption that anybody that, you know, really loves original English Mini Coopers, they probably think that this thing is just blasphemy on four wheels. That doesn't surprise me. But I'm not a Mini purist. I've never owned any Mini product, be it original or otherwise, previously. So the look of the car is absolutely fine with me. I'm perfectly happy with it. It does good on the highway. It's got a comfortable ride. The cruise control doesn't work great compared to some of the others of you know, other vehicles that I've had cruise control, so I don't use it a lot. But it does ride really good on the highway. It's got a very firm feel to it, suspension wise, and really for such a small car, when you look at it, it's actually got pretty wide tires on it and a pretty wide track for a car of its size. And then henceforth, again, I'll refer to the quote-unquote go-kart handling that people describe the Minis having. And this, even being a larger model, you definitely feel as you're driving it from the get-go what they kind of mean by that. It feels like it's got a very wide track and that it's very stable and flat and cornering, and it's a fun little car to drive. You know, it gets the job done. So that's pretty much it on the car. I just wanted to give you guys kind of a quick update on what's happened and what's changed. I know I've been away from the channel for a while, but there has been another pretty substantial development, which I'm probably going to record a video about either later today or tomorrow and post. So I'll be should be posting 2 videos in a row. It looks kind of gnarly outside at the moment, but according to the weather, it's not supposed to rain. It's just supposed to be cloudy, and then in just a couple hours this afternoon, the sun's supposed to break, I believe. So I should be able to record another video with some more information about kind of things that I've been doing, and all I can say is welcome back, car fam, if anyone's still paying attention to the A Stilly channel. I am committed to ensuring that I'm doing a little more in the way of posting consistently. Now, just a quick word for the people that are just kind of exclusively Hemi fans. You know, obviously a lot of the content I've done before, pretty much all of it, has been to do with the Challenger Scat Pack. That is now gone. If you don't want to hang around and unsubscribe, I totally understand that. You know, but I think I'm still going to be getting up to some halfway interesting stuff. So with that, I'll try and keep it short. If you're new to the video, welcome. You should be seeing another video posted tomorrow, which today is, again, I think Friday, October the 5th. So tomorrow, on Saturday, I should be posting another video. And so if you're the least bit interested, tune in. I hope to see you here. Y'all have a great day. Bye.